Good evening, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to the return of Mocktails and Masterpieces, the Indianapolis Chamber Orchestra virtual program, which has been so much a part of our activity online over the summer when in-person concerts were nearly impossible. Since we took a brief hiatus from our virtual programming, we've been very busy returning to the stage, returning to live audiences, and planning virtual programs. And so that's a large part of what we're going to talk about tonight. But I'm delighted to be joined by the newest member of the ICO family, our new executive director, Dana Stone. Dana, welcome. It's great to have you on here with us.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. It's a great organization to be a part of, and a little unconventional time to come on board, but I'm so glad to be here.
Previous executive director Elaine Eckhart had been with the orchestra for so many years, first as a board member and then as our executive director, ushered us through times of great prosperity and also times like the 2008 financial crisis. There's a lot of ups and downs when you're an executive director, a lot of things that you're responsible for. And you come in, we couldn't be more happy to have you here, but you come in precarious conditions here. It's not like starting off, with a fresh season and a subscriber base all lined up. I mean, you're walking into the middle of a pandemic. Maybe you could just talk to us a little bit about the impressions of starting a new job. You'd been executive director of the Anderson Symphony for many years. You're not new to the orchestra industry. You're very knowledgeable about it, but certainly these are unique times.
Yes, they definitely are. And, I'm so thankful to Elaine. She stayed on a little bit extra to really help me get to know this organization in a much more intimate way. And so I'm very thankful for that and her continued support as we've crossed many unique paths in the past, 4 months that I've been here. So, obviously coming on right now, the ability to perform is so different than it would have been 12 months ago. And I'm just so excited to be part of an organization that really has a strong dedication to artistic excellence, to unique experiences within the orchestra and the orchestra realm. And, someday getting back to normal. But I know that you and everyone involved with ICO is so committed to making music this year and to making opportunities for people to experience music and also to get our musicians playing again. So for that, I'm very excited about all the innovative planning that we've been able to do in this short amount of time.
You've really hit the ground running almost instantly. We're looking at ways of getting back to our audiences, and we knew that the season that we had planned, even with contingency plans in place, was going to be impossible, certainly for the fall. One of the first things that you helped to do with our staff is to get a summer concert organized for a number of our patrons outdoors, socially distanced with string quartet and duets. And the success of that particular concert in July really allowed us to kind of imagine what can we do this fall that's safe, but still allows our musicians to perform and our patrons to be there. And one of the first initiatives that we came across was the idea of returning to a venue, which is very familiar to us, Holiday Park, and organizing an outdoor performance for our musicians and for whatever audience we could legally have and safely have outdoors at that time. And that concert was this past September, and it came off beautifully. Everything was in our favor. The weather cooperated. The sun set just at the right time. But maybe you could speak to us a little bit about, in particular, organizing a concert when it seems, at least in Indianapolis, that no live events were really taking place.
Yes, I think we were the very first event at Holiday Park since the beginning of the pandemic, besides like yoga for 10 people. So that process was challenging. It was getting the Holiday Park and the Indy Parks Board on board, if you will, with having that many people gather together. And then also because of the capacity limits at that time, Indianapolis was in stage 4. We needed special permissions from the health department. So there was quite an extensive application process to make that happen. And, Holiday Park really came up with a great plan for ensuring social distancing within the space that they have of the linden tree area, if you will. And they, created their own little boxes, 12 by 12 boxes for 4 people that were kind of scattered throughout that space. And like you said, the weather was absolutely spectacular. we had an overwhelming response. We had 125 of those boxes for 4 people, and they were gone in 5 days. And I think I probably could have done that 3 more times, because people really appreciated the extra health and safety measures that we took, and they were very much ready to experience music again.
I think you hit it on the nail on the head there. They were hungry for this experience again.
Yes.
Months of looking at Zoom, online learning for students, so many virtual programs that come through your phone speaker at a very poor quality, the experience of being around other human beings, listening to music. It was obvious how important that was to our patrons. And we even had a wait list, I recall, on top of that.
We did. Yeah. So we started kind of gathering even more names.
Which is, really, again, it speaks to the power of bringing musicians together for concerts for our patrons. And there are stringent protocol that must be followed also for the musicians, not just for the audience as well. And that's one of the things that we'll discuss about now. How do we come back safely to perform, whether we're recording for virtual programs or the moment where we can come back to in person? One of the things that you'll notice here quickly is how the orchestra looks dramatically different. For our Holiday Park program, for instance, we decided to go with a strings portion of the program, take the break, sanitize music stands, bring our wind players on. The wind players must be spaced 12 feet apart. They have to wear masks when they're not playing their instrument. Our string players wear masks all the time, separated 6 feet apart. They're not allowed to share stands or music together. And the idea of socially distanced music making is really an oxymoron in many respects. It's not meant to be socially distanced. The idea of playing together is to be close together, so you can hear each other breathe. You can see the movements, the body motion. So this has been a major adjustment to not necessarily go with what you hear, which could be late, but to go with me, the conductor, and to just trust yourself. So again, I can't say enough for the work that you and your team, Dana, have done to put this concert together. And it wasn't just our patrons who acknowledged us. We had a special acknowledgement from the city as well, which perhaps you could talk about.
We did. So, in that being kind of the first event at Indy Parks in general, and also our first concert since January of 2020, we reached out to the mayor, and he made a wonderful little proclamation. And I think we have a little excerpt of that to kind of share with you all this evening. But it was wonderful to have the mayor come and kind of speak to the work that we're doing and the excitement of a safe way to gather and experience music.
And this is the mayor's 2-minute proclamation of Indianapolis Chamber Orchestra Day in Indianapolis.
Glorious evening to come together in community with one another, to listen to great music. One of the fun things that a mayor gets to do is issue proclamations. Today will be the first day since January of 2020 that our Indianapolis Chamber Orchestra will perform in its full capacity. They do so for free and have taken great care to provide to you a concert experience in this enormously challenging time. In doing so, they exhibit a dedication to their art and to their neighbors. Their performance, in cooperation with the staff and board of Holiday Park, was put together with a mind for the health and safety of both audience and musicians alike. And those of us assembled are grateful for this inspired collaboration. So in conclusion, there is no better way to spend an evening in our city than gathered together, however socially distant, to listen to great music. There is likewise no better forum in which to appreciate that music than our city's parks. And that is especially true this time of year and at this very special park. With the leaves beginning to change, we are reminded that nothing, thankfully, not even 2020, lasts forever. So now, therefore, I, Indy Mayor Joe, do hereby proclaim September 24, 2020 to be Indianapolis Chamber Orchestra Day in the entire city of Indianapolis. Thank you very much.
Symphony in January, which has been part now of our radio broadcasts. But our big production, really the concert that I had the most, that I anticipated the most, his only opera, Fidelio. We would have ended our season last May with that. And of course, we had to cancel it. We do hope to bring it back in a few seasons here. But a lot of things have changed with the Beethoven program that we had in place. But we're coming back differently now. Our first virtual program is slated for this Saturday. And we, of course, needed to include a little bit of Beethoven to make up for the Fidelio cancellation. We have his fourth symphony, which we've recorded here. I want to talk to Dana. First of all, with you in your position, and Anderson, you had to deal with your own cancellations and readjustments as well. Are there things that pop up that were really a dramatic shock that that affected your the administrative work of trying to move things back further and further, or things that took you off guard? Because really, we all had to relearn our job in a new way in a very short amount of time.
Definitely. Well, I mean, if you can imagine 12 months ago, the idea of canceling a concert, changing a program a month out, 2 months out would seem like a nightmare. And now we've all done it multiple times. So we've ripped the Band-Aid off, if you will, and we're more accustomed to change. That being said, Anderson had planned a wonderful collaboration with Anderson University of a semi-stage production of South Pacific. And we had, that was the culmination of the season. It was one of the things I was really excited about. And the students that were in the show had already, learned the entire blocking. They had run a full dress, actually. And some of those kids graduated, and it's just the production that never could be. And it's sad because unlike our production of Fidelio, I think it can come back, but that one's gone, and I think there are a lot of artists throughout the globe really that are feeling the pain of losing an opportunity, finally getting that chance, and just it's gone. So that's a hard thing, and it's hard as an administrator too, because I've bought tickets and been excited about a show, and having to communicate that with someone that I know is excited about a performance or a concert, and having to tell them that we can't do it anymore. Even though everyone's been, extremely understanding and supportive, it's a hard thing to do.
You said it again so eloquently. It absolutely is. I remember vividly back in March when we thought, all right, well, we're just going to have to move this maybe to the summer. We'll be in better shape here. I think we can still get this concert off in April. I feel pretty good about it. And the number of times that things have been pushed back to just being canceled outright. And obviously over the summer, we took a look at a very new reality here, everybody, and to say that everybody's life has been affected about it. Those students who have missed their senior year in school, of course, tragically, anybody who's lost a loved one to this awful virus, it's really left nobody unscathed. Specifically to our business, though, we have to continue to adapt. Or we die, frankly, that we're dealing with an art form that is still living and breathing. Composers are still writing music. A lot of work is being done, which is phenomenal in the work of diversity and equality in orchestra business. So we always say that where there's a lot of struggle, a lot of strife, the difficult times are the times that you can reinvent yourself and to think, creatively for new models, new solutions. And certainly we have a great team here at the ICO that was all on board with you and I, how we wanted to get this path carved for us ahead. Before we move on to what we're going to be offering this fall and this winter for our virtual program, and I do want to go back and revisit Holiday Park here again, and just to play a brief 2-minute excerpt from the strings only portion of this program. The sun was not setting at this point, but it was just about to. We're going to play now Grieg's first movement from his Holberg Suite, the Indianapolis Chamber Orchestra at Holiday Park. It was the Indianapolis Chamber Orchestra this past September at Holiday Park for what was a sold-out event there, live performance on Indianapolis Chamber Orchestra Day in the city of Indianapolis. So the ICO has reimagined, as the word that we use, the new vernacular for orchestra administrators, what our fall season is going to look like, in addition to what 2021 is going to look like as well. All of our programs have changed in some form. But to talk first of all about what's coming up this weekend, we've already begun rehearsals for our virtual program, Beethoven's Fourth Symphony, Ravel's Pavane for a Dead Princess, and Piston's Divertimento for 9 instruments. We're very excited about this program. It'll look dramatically different on stage. You'll have multiple camera angles to see the musicians up close, which is one positive out of this. But really, as I mentioned before, the spacing between musicians is a great adjustment for all of us. I know conducting with a mask on in glasses, they still can't figure out how to keep them from fogging up, but we're all dealing with it. And more importantly, I realize more than ever that so many of us on stage have a great new appreciation for the ability to be able to interact with one another once again. Dana, before we get into detail about the program here, could you talk to us about what was involved to get us back on stage at Cluse Hall, which was the ICO's home for many years before we moved to the Schrott next door? Who were you working with to get us on stage there, and the loopholes like you had gone through with Holiday Park now in this new capacity?
Yes, well, fortunately, because Cluse is such a massive hall, it seats 2,200. We're able to kind of go back in there without any concerns. The stage is large, even with the shell. So we were able to kind of distance the musicians the way that we need to for their health and safety. And of course, Aaron Hurst, who's the executive director of the Butler Arts and Event Center, has been a huge help to us in navigating some of those safety protocols, making sure that we have all the things we need for sanitation on our end. And of course, he's handling all the pieces, behind the scenes. It's a process, and we're thankful to be able to do it because many orchestras are not.
So talk to us specifically about this program this weekend, and if those in our ICO family and those who are tuning into this broadcast would like to watch this presentation, how can they do so?
Definitely. So it's available on 2 platforms. You can watch it on Facebook, just like we're watching this right now. If you're watching this right now, it's very, very similar. Actually, there's a post already on our page. You can click Get Reminder or Sign Up. And that will be when the premiere actually drops onto Facebook. And then similarly, YouTube has the same platform. So if you're like me and maybe you want to watch this on TV as opposed to on a computer or on your phone, you can access it on YouTube. And we're sending out tomorrow an email to all of our patrons, and we'll post something on Facebook as well that just kind of talks you through the steps so you can be prepared as this happens for the first time. And we're all kind of navigating what that looks like for the first time.
We've got great partners at WFYI who are doing all of the video work on this. Again, as I mentioned, multiple camera angles. So you'll be able to see the performers up front. The quality of the video recording will be stellar, I know. And I have to also commend you for being so creative with this. You came up with a wine tasting as well. This is already closed, but perhaps you could tell us about this little package.
Yes. So we created what we're calling performance pairings, and just a way of kind of sharing an experience with people when you're not together. So we sold multiple tiers of 3 bottles of wine that you can enjoy with the concert. And of course, Tasteful Times out of Fishers is donating a percentage back of all the wine that we sold. So it's just a fun way of experiencing something that you can hold and touch, as opposed to just sitting in front of your computer or TV. And that's not going away. So our next concert, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a minute, also has a performance pairing. And that's going to be a hot cocoa and cookie kit, which are actually on sale right now.
Wine while you're watching the ICO perform. It sounds like it's a great idea. And that's, again, is this Saturday, November 14th at 7:30 on either of those platforms. More information available at the ICO website, icomusic.org. And to your point, we're going to do this again. This is a lot that we've learned already between Holiday Park and this program, which we're getting ready for. We'll come back again in December for our second virtual performance. So for those of you who followed the ICO for years, know that Messiah has been a staple of our holiday programming. Last season, we introduced 2 of the cantatas from Bach's Christmas Oratorio. We had plans to do 2 other cantatas from that oratorio, but of course, with COVID, regrettably, singing will be one of the last things that comes back. So we are hopeful that we will come back to Messiah and Christmas Oratorio next December, but it's certainly not guaranteed. So we've devised an all-instrumental program for this holiday season, featuring Baroque music, very familiar works from the Baroque genre. Corelli, his Christmas Concerto, Jesu, Gioia Mensizzare by Bach. Our associate concertmaster, Sarah Page, will play Vivaldi's Winter, and many other wonderful collections on there. But you mentioned the cocoa tasting, which I think is perfect for that time of year. Do you have the information on when that broadcast is, Dana, that you can share?
Yes, it's December 19th at 7:30. And once again, it'll be brought to you on those same 2 platforms. So for either concert, virtual concert, you can sign up in advance on our website. There's several links available to that, or you can do that directly through Facebook. Now, the virtual Christmas concert is not available yet on those platforms, but you can sign up on our website.
So we also know that the 2021 from January on, the second 2/3 of our season is not going to go on as we originally intended. Many of the concerts that we had slated, including a marvelous collaboration with Dance Kaleidoscope, has just now been moved back a year to May 2022. There's just certainly no floor space when you have 20 dancers in addition to 45-piece orchestra on stage. So there have been adjustments to our 2021 season, but we are coming back, and we are very hopeful that we will retain the virtual element for those who are not quite ready to come out, or if changes in government policy and protocol change. But we are at this point optimistic of bringing in a reduced audience into Clues, very socially distanced. Of course, this could all change, but we are coming back. Dana, could you talk about some of the procedures that you've gone through here to get us ready for 2021? It seems like months ahead, but we worked so far in advance in this business.
Certainly. Well, of course, we're following all CDC guidelines. So masks will be required unless you have an ADA exception. Our audience, if we're able to have one, will be socially distanced. So there'll be special pod style seating that Ticketmaster has developed, a very special platform in order to make that happen. It's similar to what you would see at some of the larger sporting events, where you would have a block of 4 tickets, and then you can buy 2 within that pack. So we'll be utilizing that sales system. Everything's general admission. So you're not guaranteed a specific seat, but you are guaranteed a seat. The hope is to start with an audience of less than 200, though under current regulations, that might be an audience under 50. So, we'll continue to cross those bridges as they come and find a way to experience music live again.
And all of our programs in the spring will be done without intermission, limiting the entrance and exit of our audience, or the possibility of commingling in the front of the hall. So we've certainly thought through everything several dozen times, and we've continued to change as the circumstances change for us. But we do hope that you can join us this weekend, 7:30 on Saturday night for our first virtual program, and also in December for our Baroque Christmas. And then we certainly hope to see you either virtually or in person if we're allowed in January on. But the ICO has adapted its spring programming. We are here for you performing. Our musicians are actively engaged in bringing art and beautiful music to all of you who are tuning into us. I just want to thank you, Dana, for first and foremost for joining the ICO family, for bringing your expertise and passion for what you do to us. And thank you also for joining me here tonight. And for all the rest of you tuning in, we look forward for you to tune into our broadcast this Saturday night. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Okay.
Nicely done.